When you look at causes of conflict within states, a lot of these, many of them are related to deficits in governance. It's either deficit in democracy, where you get to a point where people lose confidence in democracy. You have elections that are fraudulent, elections that are not well organized. You have elections where the winner is declared the loser and the loser is declared the winner. But you have also situations, governance, lack of equity within nations, unequal treatment of citizens. There is tribalism, there is nepotism. So you have situations where people are denied rights simply because of where they were born. They come to a point where they have to choose either to acquiesce to lack of access to lack of their rights, or to fight for their rights. So when you look into many of those conflicts, I think the president here will testify, because we worked on the Burundi case. I became foreign minister in December 2005. And my first assignment was to go to a meeting with my president to Tunisia. There was President Jimmy Carter, President Mobutu, I think the president of Rwanda at that time, Bizimungu, president of Uganda. The discussion was the conflict in Burundi. There was Jimmy Carter there. Jimmy Carter came up with an idea that maybe President Nyerere looks at the Burundi docket. Atete, the former president of Mali, Tumani Ture, looks at the conflict in Rwanda, because they had just emerged from the genocide. We came back, and when we came back, Mwalimu said, look here, I'm ready to assist, but I cannot assist by instructions from Jimmy Carter. He says, where are my African leaders? Say, if African leaders ask me, I'll take up the matter. So it is this challenge from President Nyerere to African leaders which created the regional mechanism on Burundi. Where President Uganda president became chair, President Mkapa became vice chair, Ethiopia came in as the chair of the AU, all the neighbors to Burundi came in, Kenya. Then we had that initiative. And that is where Mwalimu said, before I facilitate, let me go and learn about the situation in Burundi. I want to know what to facilitate, and two, if those I have to assist accept me as a facilitator. So my president then instructed me, says, Mwalimu is going there, go with President Nyerere to Burundi. What he said, because I see, that's what President said, this Burundi docket is going to occupy us for many years. So I went to Burundi it was immediately after Christmas, on the 27th of December 2005, that's when we went to Burundi. Mwalimu had first meetings with all the parties. UPRONA, of course, President Ntibantunganya was president. His party, Frodebu, UPRONA, at that time you had Mzee Mukasi, yes? Charles Mukasi. He met Buyoya at that time. He was not president, but he was an important figure. He met the top brass of the army. Bikomagu, Simbanduku, the Minister of Defense. Then we had these consultations with everybody. From the 27th of December, we worked on the Burundi issue. It was signed it took us 10 years, but I completed the Burundi process when I was president then. When I had to ask the president of FNL, we had already agreed, but they were still in town. They were not going back. Then one day I woke up, I called my minister, Membe, I said, Bernard, I don't want to see the FNL people in town. So, but when we were working on the Burundi problem, it was an issue of governance deficit. One tribe was dominant in terms of numbers. Another tribe was not dominant, but this other tribe was dominant everywhere. They had all the officer corps in the army. In the court, they had only one Hutu judge. They dominated the business everywhere. So it is this kind of situation. It's lack of governance. They dominated politics. They dominated everything. So it is this situation. But when you look into all these problems, the 1959 crisis in Rwanda again, it's the same. Where the dominant Hutu tribe was discriminating against the minority Tutsi, being denied the right to go back, they had to go back fighting. So these are the conflicts, and many of these conflicts. We had problems in, I was involved with the crisis in Kenya that time. Kofi Annan, was appointed by my predecessor, Kufo, who was chair of the AU. He is the one who put up that team. Kofi Annan, President Mkapa, Magrasa Machel. They came to a point where they were not moving forward. Then I was also asked to come in to sort out the issues that were outstanding. I came in. But here is a situation where the results of the elections, the conduct of the elections, became a problem. It is again governance deficits. I was involved in the Zimbabwe case. At that time, I was chairing the SADC organ of peace, of politics, peace and security. Morgan Shangirai was beaten. At that time, I was undertaking a visit to Arusha region. I postponed that. I flew to Harare. I had discussions with President Mugabe. What is going on in the country? In the discussions, in the course of the discussions, that's when we concluded. We agreed with President Mugabe that the government should start negotiating, talking to the MDC of Morgan Shangirai. But it was only me and him. And then President Mugabe asked me, can you help us? Because prior to that, we met in Addis Ababa. I came up with the idea that, please, can't you talk to the other side? At that time, there wasn't appetite for that. When this happened, when I visited him now, he said, I think let's now pursue your earlier suggestion of reaching out to the other side. He asked me, can you help us? I said, well, to facilitate, you need to know both sides. I know the ZANU-PF side from our own history, but I don't know the MDC side. Then we sat down and agreed. I said, how about Mbeki? Can't he help us? President Mugabe said, Mbeki is fine. Then I asked him, do you allow me to talk to Mbeki? I reached out to President Mbeki. We spoke with President Mbeki. I said, we have here a breakthrough of some kind. And we agreed with President Mugabe that you help in facilitation. Are you ready? President Mbeki told me, he said, that's fine. But because it was President Mugabe, it was me, and the third person was Mbeki, to know about the idea of the discussions, I decided to convene the SADC organ at summit level here in Dar es Salaam. We met. And at that summit, I briefed the heads of state of SADC that this is the discussion we have had with President Mugabe. I want President Mugabe to brief all of you what we have agreed, our discussions. He said, he briefed them what we had agreed. And that is how we appointed President Mbeki to formally be the facilitator on behalf of SADC in the discussions between MDC and ZANU-PF and the government of Zimbabwe, which it translated into the government of national unity. But again, the issue has been the way the elections have been conducted, but the problems that were there. So that's why I'm saying where governance is deficit, stability becomes a problem. This is precisely. And this is where I'm now commending the Africa Peace and Security Council, that a lot of the issues they are dealing with, they stem from deficits in governance. So if Africa can put the governance issue on track, on proper track, Africa will be a peaceful continent. Don't you agree with me, Commissioner? Absolutely, yes, thank you.